inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, 'cause real women don't bitch, no. Real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. Hey, what's up, y'all? We getting busy. Okay. What's up, listeners? Now, I ain't gonna even lie to you all. I gotta put a disclaimer out there. We are recording this episode in the middle of the night. We just had a couple of laughs. I promise there weren't any drinks, but there's nothing wrong with that if there were some. But I had a couple of laughs with my guests, and it's the middle of the night when we're recording this. So only God knows what's going to come out of our mouths, but we promise that it will be inspiring.
All fruit.
Yes, all fruit, all nuggets, the whole nine. So, hey, everybody, we have a guest who has not been back for, it's been almost a year, hasn't it?
I think it has been almost a year.
I think, yeah. And we're recording this right before the anniversary of the release. Oh, snap. We got a lot to celebrate. Okay, so you guys, it is Dr. Camille Anderson. Yay! And all of my guests are like freaking fabulous. But for those of you that if this is your first time hearing her, you got to go back to season 1 because she blessed us and came on here and did an episode, and your business baby wasn't even 9 months old yet. And what has happened with you since we talking about elevation, it's like OM freaking G. So just quick recap, you guys. She came out the gate, brand new spanking idea, totally innovative, doing something completely different in the language arena. Jumped out there and was like, I'm girded up. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to promote. I'm going to sell. And she started making money out the gate. She stayed out there. She went through the transformation and all of that stuff. And she pushed through the labor pains of that first year of business. And she's here to let you guys see that not only can you make it if you don't quit, but you will elevate. And the level of elevation is awesome. And the way we're going to talk about elevation based on her point of view, man, I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to leave that to you, to explain it to guests. So say, hey. And by the way, say hola to mi maestra. This is my language coach.
Hola todos, ¿cómo está mi gente?
I need some maracas or something.
Tambores, algo.
So, hey, reintroduce yourself and all that good stuff for the new people.
I am Dr. Camille J. Anderson. I am the founder and executive director of Bilingual Brown Babies. I am the force behind the movement that is to increase the number of African Americans who are bilingual in English and Spanish. And I have just added that I am the top commander for the Black Linguistic Army that is growing across the world. That's this new thing that I added. That's my elevate. That's my promotion to myself.
Yes.
All of the work that I've been doing over the past year since the last time I was on here. And it has been amazing, like updates. I am I'm a recovering academic. Meaning, hey y'all, so this thing about being able to take the time to be able to take the plunge and actually leave your job. And I actually did that. And I've been doing this full time since May of this year. And it has been just ridiculously phenomenal. The doors that have opened and the opportunities that have presented itself and the folks that I have seen and the ways in which I'm meeting new people has been crazy. And I know that it was because of that first sacrifice, that first decision to take a plunge in order to move up. Mm-hmm. That has been that biggest thing that has makes me sit in gratitude a lot, and it's making me more thankful for some of those little things that happen day to day. I have a group membership now, mm-hmm. which is real big because that's your come up, right?
Yes.
Come up. So, and that is doing really well too in terms of being able to get people, brand new people. Just about once a week, I'm adding people into that as well. So really just being grateful for, being able to take that scary plunge, but being able to just see how there's been this spiritual cushion that just kind of got me and lifted me up like a cloud over the past few months has been phenomenal to experience.
Absolutely. And don't forget that you've always been an author, but you have written your first non-academic.
Yes. I don't forget that. Oh my gosh.
You've got so many updates. It's hard to keep up.
Yes. I have recently, for the first time ever, I have actually sat down and written a book that is for the people, that are for my people. And that also makes me feel really good because for me, that is an elevation. Because academic writing, let's be real, nobody really reads our stuff in academic writing. We kind of do it just because we're supposed to have this list of things that are supposed to go into our promotion and tenure packet, but not a whole lot of people are really reading our stuff. So I'm really proud of this particular book because it is available for my people. It is easy to chew, it is easy to digest, and it really is, it's supposed to be an empowerment and inspiring tool and a way for people to be able to really see that this language thing is doable and being able to do that. Yes!
I'm raising my hand though so I can interrupt. People are looking at the YouTube video, you may be getting misconstrued, but I just really want to compliment the fact that when you work with somebody and then they produce something, I wasn't worried about this, but I've just heard people say this about me before, that it's like, okay, well, I worked with her. So if she writes a book, what else would she bring to the table? Would it be as powerful or as impacting? And as a person who works with you one-to-one, and then I get the privilege of also being in your group, I can honestly say that reading your book refreshed me. And I might need to go back and read it again, but I came out with a little extra like, oh no, I'm coming into the group and I'm getting ready to do a video. And I'm on fire and I'm saying more stuff. And it really did push me over the top because it didn't just preach at me about speaking a language. It empowered me to say, wait a minute, this is who you are. And my language journey with you, it's one of those things you explain it, but you know how it's that Miyagi factor. Some things you really can't explain. It has to be done. But learning a foreign language really has done something to empower my soul and set it on fire. And reading your book, it added to that. Now, personally, since I've known you, I've seen, who you are since the beginning. I'm like, dang, this woman is just amazing. She's brilliant. And you came with these, what most people would call outlandish goals. You're like, hey, I'm getting ready to start this business. I don't have shit together. I just know that I want to do X, Y, and Z. And by the way, you know, I know that it's July of 2017, but I don't want to renew my contract next year. I'm like, who does that? Not that it's impossible, but usually when you do stuff like that and you think about the unique variables, people that are usually very well connected, have a viable product that they know that people are automatically are going to run to, the risks are usually less. The projections are usually predictable, but your projections were not predictable. The only thing that was predictable was what your soul felt, what your heart felt, and what actions you were willing to take. And I would just watch you. And I'm like, this sister is working a full-time job, has 4 kids, is married, and is doing more than some of my single clients with no kids or only 1 kid or whatever it is. And you did not ask God for anything. You said you put this desire in me and therefore I'm taking it. That's what I, gathered from your actions. And so, yeah. You put the goal out there and then you left. You said, bye, academia, see you later. But when you left, can you go ahead and talk about what that looked like? Because it wasn't exactly picture perfect. And let me just put this little piece in there. Whenever I talk to my clients, I always have that conversation with the ones that want to leave their job. I say, when you're in the process of building your business, there's going to be a moment when the rise is so high that it's going to be a struggle to work and to build. But that rise will not be high enough for you to be perfectly 1000% at peace on all levels. Whatever is your weak point, if it's a financial point or whatever, there's going to be something. And it's like, but your brain, your spirit is going to know, but if I don't stop, I can't serve more to get more clients or to make more money. And it's going to be this tug of war. And there's not going to be this picture perfect thing. It is very rare that somebody says, oh, I was able to build and do this. And, they usually have a spouse that it didn't matter whether or not they worked or whatever or something. You did not have this picture perfect thing. But if you did not leave your job, then you wouldn't have been able to elevate the way you are, because the opportunities that you've been offered, if you would have been at work, you wouldn't have been able to take all these days off, baby. So just take it, run with it.
So this is the thing, you know how when we're talking about when we're planning families, and it's like, when is the perfect time to have a baby? And the response is always, there is no perfect time, right? Mm-hmm. There's never perfect time. For me, it was the same sort of thing. It was like, even when my husband and I were planning to have the children that we have, it was just kind of like, hey, if God says it's time, then we don't know, because we'll see the 2 pink lines and we just gonna go on about what happens, right? And I kind of did the same sort of thing. It's kind of, the universe is gonna give you some signs, it's gonna give you some indicators that this might be your time to move, and it's not gonna be perfect. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the things that I tell people all the time, like, if you want to get my sore spot, like, when the universe is trying to get to my sore spot, the universe is gonna tap them finances, gonna tap them like, hey, he's gonna start doing all types of stuff in finances, and that's that way that the universe is kind of like, you really want this? And so financially, it wasn't a perfect situation. It was kind of, hey, let me do this thing, let me make this cushion in order to make sure that this is something that can work, and we'll see what happens. And of course, so I submitted my letter in January, and by February, I had a university calling me and saying, hey, we need you to do 3 workshops, and we want you to do it, and this is how much we're going to pay you for the workshops. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, no big deal. That's my first thing. That's good. I'm setting up and trying to get all this stuff together for them. And then realizing, once they finally sent the contract to me, that the number that she quoted was per workshop.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh.
Wait, let's make sure. I know that people catch stuff, but if it's one thing I also know from being a coach, I know people miss stuff. And I'm adding, because I know your personal story, and I know better. I know what parts I can tell. So here it is in January. Let's talk about the fullness of what was happening. You had this thing going. It's like, okay, I plan on leaving my job. No big deal. You're working with this coach who happens to have this group that's a low ticket as well that says, oh, and by the way, this group is going to close and you guys have to make a decision to upgrade to one-to-one or wait until this group comes back. And later on, it's going to be way more expensive. And so here,
tapping that finance thing.
That's what I'm talking about. That was tapping at finance. So here it is. Yeah, you're making money in your business, but not the kind of money that you're going to, pay your coach 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 times as much as you were paying before in order to keep her in your life. And it's like, okay, I'm going to leave my job too. And I'm going to add on this other bill and this debt. But right after you make the decision that you jump, and this is one thing you did leave out. Right after you made the decision to jump, you also got it was either 1 or 2 more clients at a price point that put you at a point where you're like, oh, well, this is going to pay for the contract. And then you got the offer to do the events. And like you said, you were like, wait a minute, that wasn't for all 3. That was a price for each one. And so, and in that time frame, while that was your cushion for you still expanding your business, you started just rolling in more clients.
Right.
But how did that feel? I know that tapping on your finances is not comfortable. What were the regrets? Doubts? What were the kind of crazy thoughts that were going in your mind?
Like you get, especially when it comes to like money, like crazy thoughts start to happen. You're like, oh God, okay, I'm not real sure. And it's like, okay, well, I got these clients coming in, so then that's gonna cover that. And then okay, but we still got to make sure that we got the other bills, because like what we're talking about is my check being one thing and it dropping down to about 1/3 of that. Being able to do this on my own. So having these conversations with my husband, like, okay, look now, what you making is what we got, really. Okay, so we got this, right? And trying to make sure that we get those assurances, and then something comes up, like your car dies.
Yeah,
so you gotta buy a brand new car, and it's like, oh, that's the cushion. And then something else comes up, like we need to downsize. But downsizing when it comes to like when you go from owning a home to renting a home, there's things like deposits that need to be paid, and it goes a cushion a little bit more. And then, the kids are all going to the same school, and that's fabulous, but it's a uniform school. There goes a cushion a little bit more. And you start to get these doubts like, well, maybe this wasn't the right decision. Well, maybe I need to try to find another job. And there were moments that I would have where it's like, okay, well, And the thing that I'm grateful for is that it didn't last long. Like I wasn't like, I'm about to fill out this thing. I'm about to go down to this Starbucks because I'm up in there anyway. I'm gonna become a barista in order to make sure that wasn't something that was that was a fleeting thought in my mind.
Yeah.
Those fleeting and making it a fleeting thought was kind of more so that push, like, nope, you're not doing that. So you're gonna have to do something else. Nope, you're not doing that. So you need to return that email. Nope, you're not doing that. So you need to send this proposal off. Nope, you're not doing that. And being able to use it as that push and that drive to keep going. And I think a lot of times when we get into those uncomfortable spots, it's that fight or flight thing. And it's so easy to flee. It is so easy to like forget it. And I think that's why so many of us don't make it in business, because we have that piece that's like, oh, this is tight. I don't like feeling tight. So let me
before the ship sinks and before I look stupider. Yes, I said that. Let me do something else.
Right, but I think the problem is that the ship isn't sinking; it's turning. And what you don't understand is it's a barge. So it's not a speedboat that turn on a dime. It's a barge, so it's turning slower, and it's time for it to turn. And you feel it turning, but you think it's sinking. Because it feels different to move a huge boat and turn it in a different direction. Yeah. And so you feel as though it's sinking when really it isn't. It's not sinking, it's just turning. It's going in the direction that you need to go in order to make this work. So just chill. Yeah, you tilting a little bit, but you're going to straighten back up in a second so that you can be able to go. So let yourself do that, as opposed to assuming that you on the Titanic when you sitting in the middle of the Pacific and ain't no icebergs anywhere, but you think you just got hit by something because you tilting a little bit on this ship.
Yeah. And, you know, and it's one, and it basically, you know, you have your mountaintop experiences, you have your valley experiences, and yeah, I tell people all the time. I mean, when you really think about the overall analogy, there's still a lot of work and muscle that is required to get to the top of the mountain. I've never climbed a mountain, but when I look at the people and how excited they are about getting there, they still don't stay, because no matter how great success feels, there is still this point, you know, the air is too thin for you to just reside in that space, and you have to come back down. But the fact that you were able to do that, then you go back and you scale it, you know, and you do it again. And unfortunately, what happens with a lot of people is they don't even realize that they are either riding the wave or that they're at the mountaintop, because what you believe is at the peak, you know, really isn't at the peak. And I know for me personally, sometimes it helps to say to a client, when was the last time that you really took a thorough look at your money? Because you'll be thinking to yourself, oh, well, you know, this is just not worth it. I'm not doing anything. And it might be, you know, slower, faster, or it's slow, steady. And you go back and you look and you're like, damn. Because what usually happens, we're in the here, we're in the now, we're in the moment. We're looking at the refrigerator, what is or what isn't in there. We're looking at the gas tank. Oh, damn, I just had to make a down payment to get into the car. And I'm looking at the hand on the gas tank, not realizing that there's still always something so much more to be grateful for, because maybe this time last year, you were only making $700 in your business. Then you graduated, now you're making $2,500 in your business. And even as you keep on growing, I remember when I was like, okay, wait a minute. We're at this mark now where the expectation stays at least at 6,000. And that's a beautiful thing. But usually, like you said, as you're climbing and you're growing, there's so many things in your life that those things didn't go anywhere. If your finances were piss poor before you started making money doesn't make them go away. You still have to figure out how to manage it. It doesn't stop life from happening, and it doesn't get rid of your bad habits. It just doesn't stop circumstances and all of that stuff. And so there's so many things that can happen. And you, like you said, you have to choose to get out of that space. You have to choose to be excited about where you are and to keep pushing. And in the end, elevation is going to be there. I want you to even share really quickly too. I remember one time in a group, you came in and you made an announcement. See, a lot of you guys aren't realizing what's possible. I want to make sure that it is crystal freaking clear. Camille is a language coach, and she's not charging people $20 or $50 an hour to tutor them. Hundreds of dollars are coming out of her clients or one-to-one clients to actually learn and get one-to-one lessons with her. But trust me, it's still less than what you pay per credit hour once you do the math. But you're paying per month to work with her and to get a better experience. But somebody went on your website.
Girl, yes. I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to stop. Go ahead, because they need to see what's possible.
So this is the thing. So on my website, I have all of the information about what it takes to work with me. I have all the prices listed for this, that, and the other. There's a description. You know, I make sure I'm thorough on the website so people know what they're getting. I'm not going to leave you hanging, leave you questioning anything like that, right? And my husband and I had just finished having a financial conversation. And we were on our way out of town for a family reunion. And I wake up that morning getting ready to get the kids ready so we can go to the first reunion event. And I'm looking at my because we check our phone. That's the first thing we do, is we grab our phone and see what's popping, right? So I'm looking at my email and I'm like, oh, I have a PayPal payment. And I open it up and I was like, somebody just bought my mid-tier level. Oh my God, who is this person? I don't know who this person is. So I'm looking at the names, like, this name doesn't sound familiar. I don't recognize this. This is someone who just went to my website, saw my prices, and clicked one and paid. No sales call, no nothing. She didn't, we had our conversation. I met her after she had given me all that money. So
this is a monthly subscription, you guys.
A monthly subscription with a minimum 6-month commitment. So We're talking about at the end of this 6 months, this particular client would have paid me something comma something something something. And so for the work that it is, and I'm giving her without even knowing who I was. And so I was scrambling that morning. I'm like, yeah, I need to figure out who this woman is. I'm going through.
Is this real?
I'm Googling. I'm like, okay, who is this person? Trying to see if I can like, she's in this state. So let me check the state and and I'm doing all of this stuff in order to find out more about who this person is. Because again, I had no idea. I'm crafting an email. Hey, I saw that you went online and just purchased my product. Thank you so much. We need to set up a time to meet one another so we can get you started and get you going. But that was a new thing, and that having that sight unseen, somebody said, I want to do this. You are the person that I want to work with. You are the person that is going to get me where it is that I want to get. And every time I sit down with this client, that she has nothing but accolades. Like, I am so grateful that I clicked the link. I'm so grateful that I'm working with you. I'm so grateful that you are giving me all of this stuff. This has been phenomenal. I love it. I can't. And she's had nothing but praises. And she had no idea who I was before she clicked the link. No idea who I was before she clicked the link. And that means when you're consistent about who you are, about what your message is, about what it is that you're trying to do, who you're trying to serve, the people will come to you and you not even realize they're coming to you. Yeah. You'll look up one day and say, oh my God. And I'm in that moment where every time I look up, I'm like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I'm seeing all of these different things and being able to realize that it's not this fluke that has happened. There has been lots of hard work. There's been lots of consistency. There have been moments of doubt that I overcame in order to keep pressing, in order to keep going. There have been places where my confidence had to get boosted up, and I had to get these not so gentle reminders about what it is I'm supposed to be doing and why it is I'm supposed to be doing it. There have been just personal concerns that start to come up that interfere, that can serve as distractions that I had to kind of push away, because elevation, that happens with elevation. Yes. And when elevation comes, everything comes your way, and you have to determine what is worth keeping in order to keep rising, and what do you have to drop so that you can go. Kind of like that hot air balloon. When a hot air balloon ascends, there's things that you have to drop off. There are weights that you have to drop off in order for that to happen. It's not just the fire that goes up in the middle. It's how the weights are positioned so that you can keep soaring. And that's what I feel myself doing, so that I can keep going up and up and up and up to as high as I need to see my linguistic army doing their little thing down there for me.
Yes. And I feel you on so many different levels, and what that stripping away process is for everybody. It looks different, but you really, take this and really think about it. What are you holding on to that you believe has so much value, even though you feel like it is constantly at war with you and your success? Because the thing that you don't want to let go of, you absolutely have to. And it may be because of the way that it triggers you emotionally. It may be because you realize that the support is not really there. It may be a bad habit that you have within yourself that you like, I can't do these things anymore. But a lot of people will never elevate because they don't want to strip away from things that shouldn't be there. You might want to, I know that you know this overall, but which parts of it you want to share. Let's talk about what were some of those things for you, or at least one key thing that you like, wow, I can't do this anymore. I can't be a part of this, or I have to let this person, this organization, I don't know. What is it that, what were one of those things that you really had to say, if I'm gonna get to the next level besides your job, I have to let go of, or I have to change?
Relationships. Have been nothing like, you have those folks who, prior to you getting into this particular moment when it comes to being a business owner, you got these folks that say that they're your ride or die. And they're, I got you, I support you, I do this, that, and the other. But then as you start to move up and they're not coming with you, and you're also not pulling them with you, it changes how they see you, how they interact with you. And it can be that anchor that can keep you from actually doing what you need to do. And being able to be confident enough in the value that I bring to relationships was necessary. Like that was something that was a shift that I had to make. Like there's ways in which, because you know, we all got our own personal socialized baggage, right? Those what happened to us when we were growing up and this, that, and the other. And there are ways in which for a very long time I thought that people were doing me a favor being my friend. And the change that I had to make was, nah, I'm the value here. Like there's a reason, like looking around and saying, no, there is a reason why they aren't letting go. And it has nothing to do with any favors they're doing for me. It has to do with the ways in which them just being in my presence is lifting them somewhere else. I don't even have to do anything with you directly. Just the fact that you're connected to me, you gonna soar in some way, shape, or form.
Ooh.
Relations that you didn't have before, just because you know me, and being able to see my value in that and then speaking power to it. That's the key. It's not just, you know, I'm sitting back, oh yeah, I'm a valuable friend. Like, no, I'm a valuable friend, and I need to make sure that you know that I'm a valuable friend. You need to hear some different things from me. You need to hear me talk to you about this thing. This is the thing that I've been kind of sitting on and not necessarily sharing with you because I thought that me telling you this was going to make you leave my life. And I think at this point, it's more important that you hear it than whether or not you stay. And being able to make those changes was really necessary. That was one of the biggest things, like the nature of all of my relationships. I have friendships that are closer now. I have friendships that are not as close anymore, but I have being able to value and cherish certain types of connections with people in order to make sure that I see my value in that relationship and not the other way around.
Wow, man. I know some people just heard you say what you said and their brain just shot off and they thought about 5 or 6 different people in their life about whether they're going to stay or go. And the fact that you have to even ask yourself that question, you know, the fact that you have to contemplate, if I say this, will it make them stay or go? Pretty much is already the barometer to let you know that they're one of those, you know, have to go people. I know for me personally, and I never know. Who knows? He might actually just pop on the podcast one day because he could still be being nosy. But I remember I had this one cousin and I just knew he was going to be a ride or die with me. And when I first jumped out on this journey and I was writing all my books and I was talking about stuff, when I was talking about, I guess, what appealed to him, he was always on the phone with me, and it's little bitty things. And I know he probably still wouldn't get this, and that's okay. But when I was talking, because I was writing relationships book, y'all, don't ask me how I was doing that. But we was talking about men and women and the difference in relationships and intimacy and all of this stuff. We could sit on the phone for hours. And what I was realizing, I'm like, dang, you know, we don't have to sit on the phone for hours for us to review this book together. And I'm like, this is not really helping me be an entrepreneur. And so while I was regulating the time that we were spending together, I still wasn't totally dismissing it. But as I got clearer on my messaging and I started really growing, and I even started trying to do some things with him because he had an entrepreneurial streak as well, I felt like you said, it was that pulling. And see, it's exhausting to try to pull somebody with you. You know, I do talk about carrying your weight or your burden of your mission, but I don't mean like that. But when you're trying to make somebody come with you, especially when you already climbing up a mountain, that is very exhausting. And I noticed that his participation, his involvement. I mean, like, it's funny, like simple stuff. He would never watch my videos. He wouldn't share them. But I thought you said that you was going to share all my shit. We was going to be on the islands together and the rest of the family was going to be like, why she take him everywhere she go, but she don't take us? But I mean, his presence completely disappeared. And it's so funny because I had this one last opportunity with him and I was like, you know what? He's doing his own thing and starting his own foundation. Let me show him some of the stuff I know about using social media. And so when I was filming his footage and pubbing him up and doing that, out of nowhere, he came back out. And then he disappeared again. And I remember feeling so used because I looked at all the trash that he shared every day, but you knew the heart of my dream. You knew what I wanted to do for people. And it was one of the most positive things in the world. And I'm like, but you can share everybody else's information. you're there, somebody else is off of the tip of your lips, and I can't even get, a little bit of support from you. And I finally I stopped talking to him. It didn't feel good, but I had to let it go. And it wasn't so much as because of being petty, because you have to support me. Some of you guys have to realize that it's about what it's doing to you. And I would find myself talking to my husband being like, I can't believe this. After all the stuff we've been through, we finally reconnected, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, see, I'm spending too much time giving him too much space in my head. And it goes back to that old school saying that whatever angers you controls you, because I'm thinking about it so much, because I'm talking about it so much. I've learned to separate from things sometimes because it's about me making sure I'm at peace with myself. And if I separated and I realized that I was in the wrong, if I realized that it wasn't that big of a deal, then I would have come back to the drawing board in order to be able to rekindle that. I would have apologized. But when the space was put there, the dust settled so quickly. It was like, oh, and so relationships, I find that that's one of the hardest things for people to let go of when you're building your business. But it is the most significant things, because relationships affect you emotionally and spiritually, and those things impede or accelerate your performance while you're building your business. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Right. And I think one of the things that we want to hold on to relationships because we have history. But then it goes back to that saying, but why are you looking in the rearview mirror when you try to move forward?
Yeah.
Like if that person ain't in the car with you, it's all right. You don't have to keep looking back at the road to make sure they're still there. They are. Yeah. They are. And it doesn't matter whether you are inches, feet, miles, whatever away from them. When it's time for them to get to you, you don't stop the car, you make them catch up.
Yeah.
That's what's supposed to happen, because you don't need to retard your own elevation just because the folks that you love, like the joke I made today, like I can fire you and still love you. I can fire you and still love you. There is no love lost if I'm like, not today, bro, not today. And I'm just going to keep on rolling forward. And at some point, our paths may cross again.
Yeah.
They may not. And I am okay with that may not happening. I am okay with this shift looking this way. It's one of those things, in the beginning, in the beginning of the business, I used to be really concerned with who was sharing and this, that, and that. Like, well, so-and-so didn't share it, but they were listening and I don't understand. And now I'm like, yeah, this person isn't, but I know who is. So let me tag them and make sure, let me get this, let me invite the folks I know are going to be like, you need to see this. And let me just share it myself. I have 3 social media pages on Facebook now. So if I want to share something, I'm going to share it myself. Share it with myself, with my business. There we go. There are the shares.
Yes.
And up goes the algorithm just with me doing that. So not even necessarily even concerning myself with that part anymore.
Absolutely. And the right people, when you start shedding off all of the other people, then the right people start connecting with you. The people that are going to not just be the cheerleaders, but the people that are vested in your journey. And it's a game changer. It makes a big difference. But I want to throw a twist into here. And this is why some of the people, you don't even have to get rid of them. They begin to fall away. When you jump into your entrepreneurial endeavor, you have to open up. And I mean, it's funny because I saw a live video in my memory on Facebook. And I was like, let me click on this video because it said, warning to everybody that wants to start a business. And everybody knows me. As a matter of fact, when Samoa did my website, she's like, you need a warning label, on your website because I'm Miss Raw, Real and Relentless. So I'm like, let me click it, let me listen to it. And I was listening to it. It's like, and I'm going to tell you this. And I was just looking and I'm like, wow, I did, I was still straightforward. I still told the truth. I still talked about my experience, but the edge, the edge that is August, the edge was not there. And I can see my growth and my development from a video that was over 2 years old and saying, oh, okay. I see how I command or own the opportunities, my platforms when I'm speaking. And some people were safe as long as you didn't have whatever your edge is. And that ruffles some feathers for people when you start coming out. What has your journey been like? Because what you're doing is a very powerful movement, and your version of Edge is definitely required in order for it to be successful.
And it's there. I still got that candor that can kill now. No, but I'm stepping on more and more toes now, because it's not just about Black people. We need to remember we need to tap into our ancestral memory in order to get this language thing. But it's teachers, what y'all doing? Like, what you doing that is messing it up for these Black kids that have this as their ancestral memory? Why are you still trying to squash this memory for them and not helping them to really tap into it? What are you doing wrong? Why are we still having these same conversations when it comes to the success of Black kids, when we've been saying for years on the other side that this is what's going to make us better? And it's starting to step on toes. Like, there are people who have been doing this is what Black kids need in order to be successful thing for 40 years, but it's the same argument, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm coming in and be like, no, we ain't doing this no more. Scratch that. Let's try again. And being able to see that there's some things, like there are some folks who used to share my stuff all the time, but they're also not educated, but they're also educators. So now they're coming in and they're like listening, and it's like, ooh, and they disappear. Like, oh, wait a minute, what's she saying? What's she doing? And being able to, and people try to do this little, the passive aggressive, they'll watch a little bit of my video and then they'll put their own little obscure post up. And I was like, sweetie, ain't nobody thinking about that. Ain't nobody thinking about that.
No.
But it's starting to really get to people now in a different way, because it's not just, of course it is always going to be about Black families being able to do certain things, but it's also about being able to empower Black people around certain things. And when you start to talk about empowering Black people, you can start getting the FBI dossier files that you didn't know about. You say it a little too much, right? But I already got one of those.
That's not conspiracy theory. That's real talk.
Excuse me. But yes, so it's a matter of being able to, being okay with the fact that, and it's a cliche term, but it is actually, it's appropriate. I am unapologetically for Black people. And in doing so, it's going to hurt people's feelings that they're not being included. It's going to do something to them when they don't feel as though they are a part of that. And being okay with the fact that you folks don't like that, you're not my audience.
And I'm sorry. And I want to interject right there, because, it's funny, because I'm going through that same thing now, because you evolve and you refine and you niche down the more and more you go. And so as I've been saying, you know what, no, my sisters need me in a different fashion. It's funny because certain people that would come on the videos, it's like, as soon as I say for my sisters, and it's like, they don't listen anymore. And I don't have to keep saying that. At the end of the day, I have very powerful, impacting messages, regardless of what race you are. But when I do, because it's on my heart to say it, I see that same thing. But the reality of it is that everybody's always stepping on somebody's toes. If you have to open up some type of thing that's specifically for cancer, well, do we waste time now and argue because you're doing cancer? Why you not doing sickle cell? Why you not doing scoliosis? If you decide that you're going to do something that's specifically for children, well, why isn't it for the elderly? Why does it have to be for the youth? If you decide that you want to do something that is for the suburbs, why can't it be for the city? But there's something about the sensitivity of when you say that it is specifically for Black people, that everybody raises this major eyebrow. And it's like, but you never had a problem with it being for y'all. As long as it's unspoken, it's okay. But if that's what the niche is of your business, that's what the niche is of your business. And a lot of people, they do it without even necessarily saying it, but just the point of your whole cause, period, is what it is. And so it's petty. It's really petty. And when people are disturbed by it, at the end of the day, for me, it shows where your true colors are. Because I know for somebody like myself that has always fought to make sure that I'm not a part of the negative conversation that further divides a people that need to work as a collective, knowing how sensitive that is to my spirit, and anybody that knows me, if you know me, and now because I'm taking a slightly different direction, because it's really not that far away from what was already happening. See, that's the thing, and a lot of you're ignoring this. I do this to my clients all the time. I remember, I'll give a couple of examples. I remember, like, for instance, the marriage coach I was working with. I'm like, okay, well, who are you working with? You know, are they married? Are they newlywed? Are they on the brink? They damn near divorced? You know, are they this? Is it couples? Well, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to niche down? Why do I have to say this? I said, who's coming to you, sweetie? I'm just making an observation as a coach. When I was working with the pregnant killer, well, you know, I just help with all people with trauma. I mean, but then I also deal with depression, and I deal with this, and I deal with that. It's like, okay, but wait a minute. But when you're doing your healing session, is it for the sick? I know you got some things that you can do with their diet, but when she finally realized it's trauma, not specifically childhood trauma, changing her marketing message phenomenally changed her business. And at the end of the day, like I tell people all the time, it doesn't mean that a white woman would never come to me and spend an exorbitant amount of money, but at the end of the day, my target audience is choosing me. All I am doing is what you say, being very unapologetic about who I am. And there are some who will only learn from this podcast but never put a dime in my pocket, and there are others that will pay what they beyond without even blinking an eye. Does that mean that no Caucasians have ever paid me? Absolutely not. But when I look at the stats, I'm 98% clientele, my sisters. And every other race, you know, be a little Hispanic, a little Caucasian, it's minuscule. But I'm for the empowerment and betterment of everybody. And if I empower my people, that makes them a better citizen, which makes them communicate with you better. That's what I see from what you're doing. If the deficit exists in your community for you specifically with your business, with the language, with getting over the ancestral hurt, with all of the damage, you know, then you healing that is better for everybody. But, you know, I can't be sick and barely walking. You know, this ain't no fake ass Hollywood movie, you know, where I got one leg and I'm hopping on a crutch and I'm going to take care of everybody else too. You have to, sometimes you gotta regroup. You got to heal internally first, get strong, build yourself up before you can start going out there to help other people. And I really just feel like I needed to throw that out there because there are people that are listening to the podcast and you know what, the numbers might dwindle. It's going to be on you if it dwindle because the nuggets and shit I be dropping is fucking golden. You be a damn fool because some of the shit I just be teaching, you know, but that's the real deal. That's the real deal, the unapologetic thing. Now, you can take, if you want to add something to that, good, but after you finish adding, talk about the elevation though in this whole unapologetic thing, because I've seen your elevation just like I talked about mine too, where that edge came out. What was the one core thing that you realized had to change for you to elevate with speaking your message? Because it's always been there, but it is more evident, like you said now.
Right. The thing that can probably address both of those and even give and be able to give examples of that is realizing that every time I do something with a client, every time I do something for an organization, every time I do something in the group, it's not only helpful for the people that I'm working with, but it's healing for me, like healing myself through the community. Every time I'm watching a Black person actually get it in language, it's not just a yay you, it's a yes. And being able to understand that how that feeds my spirit and how that feeds the way I need to move. And it has actually really empowered me. The more people that I'm able to bring onto this, the more strength and fervor I have. So it's like, yes, it works. This is doing it. This is doing what it's supposed to be doing. You need to understand that you're about to miss this boat, because if you don't get it now, you're going to miss it. We keep talking about all these different issues that we have within the community when it comes to our babies and how they're learning, but you ain't even thinking about the one thing that I've been telling you for the past 6 months you need to get. So if you want to miss it, that's on you. But I know that I'm healing these folks over here. And I know that every time I can see somebody actually take ownership of and embody the language that I'm giving them, then that means that you are stepping more into yourself as an African. And you're stepping more into yourself as a Black person of this huge diaspora. I know that by working with you or by working with anybody else, every time you get something in Spanish, that's a conversation that you can have with a Black person in Peru. That's a conversation that you can have with a Black person in Colombia. That's a conversation you can have with people that live in Guinea-Bissau that are on the continent of Africa, because their national language is Spanish. So being able to, being able to understand Equatorial Guinea. I'm sorry, I say Guinea-Bissau. Equatorial Guinea has their national language in Spanish, and being able to understand that every time you get it, every time you embody it, every time you feel comfortable with it, that means that you're about to get that. And that's what I want. There is a bridge that I'm trying to make. And every time I work with you and I heal myself, we are building that bridge together. And that's what's bringing about this newfound ed, not a newfound ed. That's what's awakening the edge, because ed was there. It was there, but it was sleeping a little bit. And each time I do something with somebody, it's that alarm clock, and I'm no longer pressing the snooze button. And I'm actually doing this thing to make sure that no, it's time to get up, get popping, let's get it, so that we can make sure that this goes the way that it's supposed to go. Because in the end, what I am and what I see, what I envision is a stronger Black community. Yeah. And it's not necessarily, and it's a different type of activism. And being able to look at it as a different type of activism. It's not the traditional, we're going to march, we're going to protest, we're going to do this, that, and the other. Let's do some intellectual activism, shall we? And that's what I'm giving you. And in doing that, what's happening is I can see it. I can see the connections. Like I can see like the neurons are firing in terms of auras connecting because of these things that are going on with what I'm doing with people and what I know that means for other people. Being able to know, this is news for you, so you're going to be happy about this. Being able to know that, my business likes are not coming out of Colombia. I have business likes coming out of Venezuela, because these are Afro-Colombians, these are Afro-Venezuelans that are looking at my stuff like, yes, what? Mm-hmm. Yes. And understanding that is something that bridge is starting to connect, and understanding what that means when it comes to Black people as a whole. Yeah. I'm not thinking just in the United States. I'm thinking about how we are elevating Black people across the globe.
Yes. Absolutely. And you will be back next year, because they're going to find out about a little something that's a little negotiations. So we got to be quiet. But right now, we're getting to a point where we got to get ready to, dwindle this down to an end. And I feel like it's only right for me to add this last piece on here. I have to say this because you bring something to the table that, my mind personally couldn't fathom. And every time I try to say this without getting mushy, I can't, but I can feel my eyes getting ready to well already. So for you people on YouTube, I got glasses on, I'm trying to fight it, but it is what it is. For us as African-American people, and even just in America, period, language is just not given the level of respect that it deserves. It's always, they need to learn to speak English if they're going to, be over here. But yet we want to be associated with as a melting pot, which that to me was always off anyway, because melting pot means everything is blended together. Why not be a salad? But I'm digressing. Bring it all the way back. But, I remember being told a long, long time ago, back in the early 90s, you should take a foreign language. And I signed up for foreign language in, I think it was maybe my sophomore year. I took the first year of Spanish, and it was kind of like, oh, okay. And to be honest with you, like you said, in a lot of your videos, I learned basic conjugation. I learned the, my llamo, my name, yo tengo this. I learned, to say the different sports of football americano, little bitty things that, they still stuck with me though, because language it just latched on to me. But after high school, it seems like it's fictionary. If you didn't do it in high school, then you can't do it at all. But I remember pressing so hard for my daughter, my oldest daughter, when she was in high school. I was like, oh, you gonna take Spanish. Now, when she went out to college, I was like, I can't control you, but if you're smart, you're going to continue to take Spanish. And, she took off a year, but she did go back to it, and she knew quite a bit, but she still wasn't using it. That desire was always there, but I really literally felt like it was too late for me, because that's what we think. We're like, well, I missed my shot in high school. And, because if you didn't do it in high school, it's going to be even more difficult in college. Meeting you and knowing that this is what you do, I was like, dang, man, I got the inside scoop, because I'm looking at you develop your business. I could do this. I should do this. I should take Spanish. And I'm like, take the Nestea plunge. And I signed up. And I was so nervous. I was so paranoid, you guys, because this is my gift. just being able to speak, and I'm a linguist by nature. I know that I use some words and that, it's not off, but because I'm naturally poetical and I thrive off of the connotation of words, I use them in context, but slightly off. If you're not here, people are like, wait a minute, why she say that? You have to catch the wordplay. Sometimes when you're listening to me speak, and I love that about myself. Even you did a little bit of rapping, wasn't gonna be a rapper or not like that, but I'm just saying, if y'all seen the Christmas video last year, I got a little skills. But seriously, being able to communicate with language and have that soul and the essence, and not just say, hi, my name is August. Yes, I am 43 years old, and sounding like a robot. Me llamo August. Tengo 42 años. Not sounding like a freaking robot. I'm saying these terms. I still kind of felt like that to a degree because I was learning. You were like, look, if you could ask me anything, what would you ask? If you wanted to say this, how would you say it? And I'm like, well, I want to know how to say this smart aleck term. And I say cuss. So how do I say these cuss words? And, whether it was with my book, it was my personality, the way I come out on my podcast, you molded the way that you taught me based on my personality. So when I'm saying things, I feel different. And when I'm reading books, I feel different. When my kids used to do stuff, I used to always say, un momento, por favor, if they were like, I want something. Now, because I've been reading Spanish books, I'll say something like, esperar un poquito, because I've seen it in a book. But all of these things are because of all of this stuff that you've been teaching me. But what put the biggest level of excitement in for me is, we won't get into all of the technical stuff, but I shared with you a while ago that even though it would be difficult to prove it medically, some things happened with my oldest daughter. And I have been so devastated because I got these other two kids, their speech and all of this stuff is great. And she just like shut down on me after some things happened. And so when she would speak, it would always just sound like mumbo jumbo. But baby, nobody else in my house speaks as much Spanish as my 5-year-old daughter does. And now that she speaks Spanish, she is speaking more clearly in English. And you always talked about it. You talked about how when you do this, it's going to open up their brain. It's going to speed up their learning. It's going to develop their language even better. And so like she doesn't say hug or kiss anymore. She's like, mommy, dame beso, dame abrazo. She always says gracias. And when she'll say, gracias, chico. See, Papa, you're a boy. So I said, Chico. I mean, she's like, she's on freaking fire. And she did it to him again today. No, Jaden, Chica. Papi, Chico. While my son's doing something crazy, basta, man. So all of these little bitty things and so that fire that you feel is a fire that I feel, because I would be on the verge of wanting to quit, not because you weren't effective, but I was so fucking self-conscious. And just like building your entrepreneurial muscle, I had to build my language muscle, and I had to get unashamed of the wonky parts. And I'm like, you know what? If this is all I got, this is all I got. I may not be able to say it clearly, but I know these words and these words. And if I piece it together, somebody's going to be able to figure out what it is that I'm saying. And that's what I gained, from taking Spanish lessons with you. And so it's been a lot of stuff that's come across me. And I'm like, well, that's one thing that will not come out of the budget. It absolutely will not come out of the budget to continue to get the 1-to-1 with you. And so I just like did a major plug at the end of this, because when I work with somebody, and I know the power of the product and service that they provide, it's deeper than just saying, oh yeah, they do a good job. You should holler at them. She can offer whatever she's going to offer at the end of this, but I'm telling you, literally, to be in her group for only $47 a month to begin your language journey, trust me, you could pay $47 a month, and unless you catch it on sale, Rosetta Stone still ain't gonna compare. Matter of fact, I bought Rosetta Stone, still got the box somewhere because I ain't throw it away, but it's packed away somewhere because it didn't mean shit to me. And so I just want to personally thank you while you're here on the show with me for being the force, for continuing to do what you do, for not stopping, for not giving up in those uncomfortable moments, to decide to elevate. Because if you didn't, then I wouldn't have my sights on traveling anywhere. and definitely not trying to speak any lick of Espanol when I got there, because it was just a far off dream for me. Whereas now, every once in a while, me and my daughter are sending each other text messages that are only in Spanish. And so that's a beautiful thing. And all honor, love, and respect to you. What you do, it works. And yes, as a woman, I do feel better and sexier and smarter, you know, and I feel like I'm more of a force myself. And I can't wait to not look at people and be like, you need to learn English. No, hold up, baby. I'm catching up with you. It is necessary that I learn what you're teaching. So I probably just took about 5 minutes to be on the soapbox, but it's important. It's important for people to know all of that, all of it.
And I love every piece of it. But the thing that's like me, that's keeping me from the ass sweats, because you know the ass sweats, okay, doing these ass sweats right. But the thing that gets me most is the thing that really is that, like, one of those reasons back when I was teaching Spanish that had me wanted to do this in the first place, and that really is your daughter. Like, every time you say something, it's just like there's this warmth in my heart that just spreads out, because there are so many of us, adults and children alike, who have been dismissed because, oh, you can't, it's all right. And being able to know that, you're missing out on something that is going to transform their lives. Yeah. And something as simple as teaching somebody to count to 10 in Spanish versus in English can do wonders for the brain. Yeah. Like, it can do wonders for it, and people don't even understand. Like, knowing that there are autistic children right now where they hear salsa, there is a very different feeling that they get when they hear it versus just kind of listening to the Mickey Mouse Kids Bop, all of that other stuff, because there's something about the language that is triggering something in their brain that is causing them to do something different. And there are ways in which, as Black people, we have been dismissed in that. Like, oh, poor thing. Yeah. And just kind of leaving it alone. And it's like, nah, do you know, everybody is magical. Everybody is magical, and Black people get the most magical. I will say that, and I will stand home to it. You can fight me if you want to. Black people are the most magical. We got the history to prove it. We got the history to prove it. Yes. And to not try to pull that magic out of every Black person you meet is, you're doing yourself and them a disservice. Yes. And for me, language is that thing that pulls the magic out of people. Yeah. And pulls the magic out of people. Being able to watch them, being able to have those conversations is like, nah, stop telling yourself that thing, because the magic is behind that sentence. Get rid of it and let's do something else instead. Like this whole idea of, the foreign language class does not teach you how to be confident in how you're saying stuff. So me just being able to just build you up in Spanish is enough to be like, oh, there's my magic. And
heck yeah.
And that's what we're trying to get, because you cannot have a fortified army if the army don't believe they can fight.
Absolutely.
Building a Black linguistic army, you got to know that you can use these words. So we can be able to do what we need to do. So yes, I'm going to pull that magic out of you, because just like a general, I'm going to give you that rousing speech that's going to put you on them front lines, and I need you on the front lines for language. So
yes. And it is a game changer. And I'll say this one last thing. I was so excited when we did our last language lesson together, because, I would try to bring my little son and my daughter in and be like, come on. And you would be like, say, uno, those. Maybe we would get in the count to 10. But Niara came in the last time, baby. You went ahead and switched gears off of me. You pulled out the book and you were sitting there. You like zapatos, and she was like, oh, and you were saying, she was good. But before she would, if you got an hola or a 1, 2, 3 from her, that was enough. She was totally and thoroughly engaged. And at that moment, I said, okay, I got my spurt and I see her spurt too. And it is a beautiful thing. And so she walks around here and she talks differently. She acts differently. And you can see that it's all just been a part of this collective thing. Because you've cut on a dormant piece of our brain. The more pieces of our brain that are actually functioning, being used, then the higher we go into stepping into our genius. And so I just want to thank you 1,000,001 ways. So tell everybody where they find you, what they have for you. All the links, of course, are going to be in your bio and the description on the webpage. But let the folks know where to find the force behind the movement, which is Bilingual Brown Babies.
You can find me on all things Bilingual Brown Babies on any platform on social media. Twitter, IG, Facebook. You do Bilingual Brown Babies, you will see me, you will see my lovely face, you will see my videos, you will see my kids, all of that on there. You will be able to have access to that. You can also get my book on Amazon. It is Raising Bilingual Brown Babies, Everyday Strategies to Become a Confident Bilingual Family. You can be able to get that. Let that be your first in. There are ways in that book that you can get in contact with me too. And we can also be a part of, as August was saying, my group membership, where you can come in and just, work at your own pace, but get what you need in order to make sure that you are also getting your training. So like the group membership is kind of like the reserve training, right? The reserve, you go in once a month, get what you need to get. That's what that is for you, in order to make sure that you're able to do your due diligence to become a part of this Black linguistic army.
So you guys, look, join her, click the link, join me, join us, because I'm there too, and some other amazing, beautiful people. Camille, you are always a pleasure. I know that you inspired a lot of people with your story. You guys elevate. We're going to have her back for a season número 3, and that season will be, the theme is restoration. So, ¿cómo se dice restoration en español?
Restauración.
Restoration. There you go. So that. Restauración.
Eso es, perfecta.
Gracias, maestra. So there it is. You guys stay with us. She's going to keep coming back. We're going to learn more about how we grow. You're going to learn more about how she's growing. And, I'm going to just leave it there before I get sweaty too, because I did good. I was able to get into a zone and hold myself back. We finna have an after conversation. So, bye, everybody.
Hasta pronto.
Hasta pronto. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. Signing out. Deuces.
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in